Hi, this is Pastor Bill. I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about Epiphany. That is tomorrow, January 6th. And if I was able to, I would probably do a service regarding the Saturday Epiphany. It's based on the scripture in Ephesians. At least that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. Um, So we're going to do a few things that are kind of like service that I want to include into this little devotion that we're doing. So the opening prayer: God of glory and grace, shine upon our worship with your presence, shine in our hearts with your love, shine in our lives with your grace, that we may arise with the confidence and bring your justice and love to all. And like I said, the scripture is going to be on Ephesians. This is by Paul. So Paul is basically in prison, and he talks about how um, he did not know God's plan. God did not show him his secret plan, but eventually he learned what it would be through Christ coming and the grace of Christ coming with him. And then he goes on about how he finally understood what God was doing, because at that point God showed him what everything meant, that he finally realizes what's going on, and that it is also his responsibility to tell the story, and that God's grace was given to him so he could understand all this. It says, I became a servant of the gospel because of the grace that God showed me through the exercise of his power. God gave his grace to me, the least of all God's people, to preach the good news about the immeasurable riches of Christ to the Gentiles. So God was able to share with him what his plan was when the time was right. Being that we're in January 5th, we have no idea what this year will have in store for us. We have, talking about several inches of snow the next couple days. If we want to look short term, if we want to look long term, we can talk about how different variances of the flu and COVID. You can also talk about the election that's coming up, and we have no clue what any of that stuff will bring. And when it does, we might not see God's plan in it until he wants us to see it. I don't know how many times in my life where I often wondered, why is this happening? What is the purpose in all this? What is the reason in all this? Where does God come into all this? And eventually, as I pray and work on my relationship with God, I eventually see or kind of understand where he is in all of it. You could look back at COVID and say, I'm not quite sure where God was in COVID, but I think it made us more grateful for family, grateful for time, grateful that we had social media to be able to talk. It made us get out of our comfort zone to look for new ways to communicate. Many bad things came from COVID, but a lot of good things came from it as well. For some, it was a matter of a testing of the faith. Maybe they didn't have quite the strong faith at the time, and because of certain things that happened through COVID, maybe they got stronger in their faith. You could talk about the same thing in losing a loved one. Sometimes you don't see why, you don't understand why it's happening. But I can tell you that from losing my mom, my dad, two sisters, I question why all the time, but I can tell you what I got from all that was I learned that at 13, your world can be turned upside down, and us adults have to understand that. I learned from my mom. I didn't quite understand why things happened to her, but it made me feel blessed to have a mother like I did. And the same thing with my two sisters. I didn't understand why I lost them when I did, but I'm very grateful for the time that I had with them. And I learned different lessons from both. So I guess being January 5th, understand that you're going to have lessons and you're going to have things happen that you don't know why. But like Paul, trust in God, be able to be ready to share his grace, even though you don't understand what the situation is or why it's happening. But trust in God's grace and know that he is there with us and that he is with everyone in that situation. And I say everyone because a death in the family or anything like that affects many, many layers of the family. And we just have to understand that God is with us, and the lessons and the things that we learned from that will eventually help us in the future. So go into January, understanding that no one knows what's going to come up tomorrow. Go into January knowing that God is with you. 2024, I think, is going to be a very good year if we're focused on God. And I am talking to both churches that I am pastor over, that if we keep focused on God and making disciples and sharing his love, there's nothing that's impossible. The only thing that is impossible is for us to be closed-minded enough and not be willing to take some chances and get out of our comfort zone. Following God was never supposed to be comfortable. It's supposed to make us think of who we are and question who we are. Who am I walking with God? Who am I as a Christian? And I think those are the questions that we need to ask in 2024. And as we answer them individually, we also answer them as a church. And understand that we still have work to do. Our hearts are beating, the blood is flowing, our brains are working, and we love God. So we need to put that to use, and we need to put it to work, and we need to put our feet to the ground. So if we do all that together, along with following God in the process, anything is possible. So we need to have faith in that. We might not know why we are here. We don't know why what we're going through is happening. But what we do know is God will reveal his plan when it's time. And we have to be able to be faithful enough to understand and say, yes, I get it now. Let us move forward and let us share that vision with the community. So let me close with the benediction. It goes like this. Go forth to shine with light of Christ's love. Go forth to shine with the glory of Christ's grace. Go forth to shine with the justice and peace of Christ's life. Let us hear it. Let us feel it. Let us live it. And let us trust God as we go into the new year. Hope you have a good one. Remember, 9:15 in Whiting, 11:15 at Highland for Griffith. And I hope to see you there. And if you haven't been for a while, I hope that one of your New Year's resolutions or one of your ways to try to make a positive change is to try to reconnect with the God that loves you. He's always there. All you have to do is reach out, and he'll grab on, and you don't let go, and you're in it together, and that's the best way to do it. I hope you have a good one. We'll talk soon, and God bless.